welcome to another episode of That Jesus Podcast. I'm your host, Titus, and I am not joined today by Drew Latin. And the reason is, we've recently switched to video podcasts as well, a little plug for our YouTube channel. And I thought we could do it for a while with Drew's face being on the videos, but we've just gotten a lot of pushback from listeners and viewers about how his face looks. So I decided I would try to find someone a little more good-looking to co-host this podcast with me. So that's why I've pulled in my wife, Brenna, here today. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Wow, quite an intro there.
Yes. I assume Drew will listen to this, and so Drew, I'm not joking. But yeah, Brenna joined me today. We're talking to Chloe Milioni. She's also known as the Nice Milioni. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
We've had your dad on. I know your dad pretty well, but I am curious. How did you turn out to be the Nice Milioni? Were you adopted, or how did that turn out?
Nobody knows. I'm trying everything in me to get rid of that title. So should not call me that.
There you go. All right. Well, I wanted to talk to you because I've heard a little bit from your dad about your heart for Uganda and some of the things that you and I guess it's the Sweezies are doing there.
Yeah, the Sweezies. Close pronunciation.
Yeah. How does it pronounce?
Swayze.
Sweezy. Okay. Yeah. If they're listening, I'll probably offended them a little. Yeah. Is it just them right now? Are they the only Americans over there right now?
There is, so Charlton, it's Charlton Natasha, and then his mom, who started His Image Ministries, is there as well. And then another couple, John and Dory, are there.
Okay. And this other couple, are they affiliated with Followers the Way, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so John actually lived in Boston for about a year, I think, somewhere along that time frame. And then ended up getting married and going over there. And now they just had their second child.
Nice. And you said the ministry is called His Image Ministries?
Yeah, His Image Ministries is one of the outreaches for the Followers of the Way Church there.
Gotcha. How long have they been over there doing that work?
So His Image Ministries started in 2016. Was kind of when it, like the very beginnings, just like one or two people, and then kind of over the years grown. And now I'm trying to calculate how many years it is, like 4.5 years. It's much bigger, and has had a lot of changes and kind of redirections and figuring out how to achieve the goal that was wanting to be achieved.
Mm-hmm. So basically, Donald Trump got elected, and they said, "We're out of here." 2016.
Right. Exactly. So the Swayzes had been in Kenya before that,
Okay.
and then moved over to Uganda to actually work with Street Boys, and that ended up, Street Boys is like basically homeless boys, and that ended up falling through, and so kind of redirection after that, and this
Gotcha.
is one of those things.
Yeah. Do you know what part of Kenya they were in? Because I don't know if you knew this, but I grew up there. 10 years of my life
I
was
did
in
not know that.
Kisumu. Yeah.
I don't know. I really
Okay.
should know that, but yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm not
that'd be
sure.
interesting to find out, because I assume they weren't with AMA, which is the Beachy mission, but
They were, I think they were a few hours from there. Like they know people from there.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know exact location, but I think it was close.
Gotcha. Yeah, so why don't to get started here, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you first became interested in missions work, just generally, and how you kind of got interested in Uganda more specifically? Because I've talked to your dad about mission work a
Right.
fair amount, and he kind of poo-poos on the idea of American white people going overseas a little bit. So how did that work? Growing up in the Milioni household and kind of catching that passion for missions.
So I actually agree with him on a lot of that, which is funny, me being there. It wasn't, I mean, so it was partially missions. I love being in Uganda. It's wonderful for a lot of reasons, but it was actually more His Image Ministries, which is, I'll just give kind of a brief description because guessing not everybody knows what that is. So it's a crisis pregnancy center. And what they have is, I mean, their goal is obviously to save babies from abortion. So they have a lot of programs to accomplish that. The main one is called their VIP program, Very Important People with Unplanned Pregnancies. And they go through counseling. One of the big things that we push there is we're not just telling you don't abort your baby and then we're going to like abandon you as soon as your baby's born and be like, tough luck, figure out your life
Mm-hmm.
now. So one of the things that we try to focus on there is family relationships. So when somebody comes to us that's considering an abortion or that's just like, I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do, we first start off with counseling and then with talking to family and friends and trying to help them kind of get involved with their local community and see who's willing to help with whatever needs done. So housing, job wise, whatever that looks like. And just kind of more of a long-term support, helping through pregnancy. The main two goals are family relationships with women that come to us, and also trying to help them bond with their baby and love their baby, because most times they're not at that place when they come to us. They're all unwanted pregnancies, so shocking, and
Yeah.
they're not sure what to do with it, and they feel like everything in life is coming crashing down. So kind of trying to help with that and walk people through that. So in that, being in Uganda, that's more of what I went for, was to volunteer there at the Crisis Pregnancy Center.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of been interested in anti-abortion ministries for a few years, and wanted to do something in that regards. And then also like being friends with the Swayzes and communicating with them over the years. And I was like, okay, well, there's already a ministry there. They're needing support and help. So that's actually how I ended up going over there. I was there for like 5.5 months, I think. Yeah, something like that last year. And I really enjoyed it. It was wonderful. But yeah, it was more the anti-abortion ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the church and love a lot of things about there, but it wasn't as much necessarily missions that my heart was set on.
Gotcha. So you said you agree with some of your dad's ideas about white saviors
Right.
going to
They're
developing
bad.
countries. Yeah.
Right.
So how do you mitigate that? Going over there as a white person, literally helping people in very dire straits.
Right.
How do you keep that kind of in the forefront of your mind to not fall into unhealthy patterns when you're doing that kind of?
Yeah, it's something I think a lot about and thought a lot about when I was there as well. And I think so the conclusion I came to was, am I able to offer something that's needed that they aren't able to provide for themselves? And then like being there, also just having that in mind and understanding some of the kind of concerns and the dangers of having white people in a foreign country, and trying to be wise about that. And so for us at His Image Ministries, a lot of that looks like, not letting people know that white people are involved with the ministry until later on. So sending out some
Mm-hmm.
of the local people and the local volunteers to do the visits with family, and kind of having them at the forefront, and then us, Mzungu, as they call it, white people, in the
Yeah.
back, and kind of trying to do things that need done that other people wouldn't necessarily have the resources or the knowledge for.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, I've been called a Mzungu a lot in my life. Little kids come out and Mzungu. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, same.
So, um, and Brenna, if you have anything you want to chime in with, just go for it at any point. But I did want to ask, in Uganda, what's kind of the cultural attitude toward abortion? So, is it a hot political topic like it is in America, or is it still pretty looked down upon and kind of
Hmm.
shameful, or what are some of the differences between America's attitude and Uganda?
Yeah, so we actually, one of the ministries that His Image Ministry does is it's called, um, kind of the official name is Impact MOOC with Life Surveys. Makerere University is across the street from where our building is located, which is like one of the major universities in Africa. And so what we do is we send people out and they just do surveys. They ask some questions like, what do you think of abortion? What are your views? And then we show them like an animated version of what an abortion is and then ask the same questions again. And we have two purposes for that. One is to get an idea because we kind of started knowing that there are a lot of abortions and like wanting to help, but not knowing as much like, okay, what do people think? What does the younger generation think of abortion? Are they okay with it? Are they not okay with it? And then also just to kind of get our name out so that the local community knew what we were doing and that we were there. And so over the years, doing a lot of those surveys, I should get the exact number, so I know in the future, but there's been quite a few hundred of them done. And there's, for the most part, it's very looked down upon. Like there's a lot of, like, people don't want them. But at the same time, like a lot of people would view it as like, oh, if it's under, 12 weeks in the pregnancy, then it doesn't matter, or, drawing different lines. But then, yeah. So in that regards, it's not looked at as the greatest thing. Like it's not, I feel like here people are like, oh yeah, abortion's no big deal. Like doesn't change anything. And it's not that way as much there. But they also see it as an option and a needed option for women there. It's not a political thing, and laws about it are very like kind of hazy. So they would say like you have to get a form from a doctor saying that you can have an abortion, like medical reason. But that's very, very rarely done. So a lot of the abortions that are done are actually illegal in Uganda, which causes a whole nother realm of concerns and very difficult circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Have y'all found that like women that have gotten them illegally have come to y'all like suffering from that at all?
Yeah, so we had actually when I was there last year, we had a lady that we were kind of working with post-abortion counseling. That's another thing that we offer. And so we've had a few people come for that who have had abortions and then are like, oh no, what did I do? And we've been kind of going through counseling with her. And then also now she's married and wants to have children and has had infertility, most likely because of the abortion. And so trying to help walk women through that and give resources and, show that there is healing and you can continue with life. So yeah, there definitely are a lot of women who struggle with that.
Now, did you mention in the beginning how long they've been running this ministry there?
Yeah, so they started in 2016.
Okay.
So I think it's been like about 4.5 years.
Okay. Have they had like mothers that have come and been able to like contribute now that they are will have kept their babies and
Yeah, so we have one amazing volunteer. She's actually also part of the church, which is incredible. She came to His Image Ministries wanting an abortion. Her baby's 2 now, and he's absolutely adorable and so sweet. But yeah, so she came for that and then didn't have an abortion, and we kind of helped her with family relationships. And then after having her son, his name is James, she was like, obviously very passionate about women not having abortions. She's like, I cannot imagine my life without my son. Like, this is amazing. And so she's one of our most faithful volunteers, and she's been an amazing asset to have on the team. And also she's part of the church, which is huge added bonus.
that's That's really cool how, yeah, God uses something like that and her broken experience to
Right.
probably help other women make the right
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah, and she has something that we're not able to offer, like being in that
Right.
same exact place and, struggling with feeling like, what is my family gonna say? How are they gonna react? Like, I'm gonna be kicked out and not accepted, and still, keeping her child, and now being an amazing, successful, wonderful mother. Yeah, so it's been wonderful to, see that happen over the last few years.
That's really cool, and I love to hear that, they just help women alongside, like, through that journey, like, they're helping them
Hmm.
throughout it and giving them tips and insight on how to be mothers, and are they able to help with, like, physical needs of the moms as well?
Yeah, so we try to get family to help in any way possible. And I think this kind of ties into, as well as the white savior aspect.
Mhm.
We don't want to help if it's not needed. So trying to get family or friends or, whoever they're with before they were in this circumstance, to help with whatever possible. And then we kind of come in and fill in the gaps with whatever is missing. And that has a huge range. Like, some women don't have any support at all, even with us talking to families and trying to help work out those disagreements. And so we would obviously provide a lot more for them. And then sometimes it's literally just counseling or going with them to doctor appointments or being their friend. So that has a very wide spectrum of what that looks like.
That's cool.
So I'm
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are some of the factors that make women in Uganda at risk for abortions? Is it a lot of the same things in America, or I'm sure that Uganda probably has a little more of a cultural value around families and maybe
Mhm.
even larger families than America does. So, um, and probably women aren't as hard up to get professional careers and are more willing to be homemakers and mothers. So is it? But then there's the fact that Uganda's much it has a lot more poverty. So I
Mhm.
mean,
Right.
economic concerns will be there for sure. So what are some of those differences between maybe why women in America are at risk versus Ugandan women?
Yeah, so I actually think, at least from where we're located, since we're in a city and across the street from university, a lot of what seems to kind of factor into that is higher education. Going to university and getting a degree is kind of lifted up as the way out of poverty. Um, so a lot of these students are from the village, and their families literally work their whole lives to send them to university, and they're supposed to get a degree and then help kind of raise the family out of poverty. And so when your whole family is working their entire lives to pay for you to go to university and to support you, and then you get pregnant and you're not going to be able to continue with that, it's devastating, for
Mhm.
women and families. And
Mhm.
so I think that's a very large factor. And even though, like, there's a huge percentage of Makerere graduates who are jobless, like, there's just that's what everyone sees as kind of the solution, and it's not. It's very difficult to find a job even if you have a degree, but just
Mhm.
very devastating for families. And then also, like, poverty, like, how are we gonna support another child? That also factors into it. um, but yeah, just I've like higher education is lifted up a lot here in the States, but nothing like I've never seen it as
Yeah.
worshipped as it is there.
Yeah.
That's been my experience in other countries too.
Yeah, like
It's
India.
pretty. Mhm.
Yeah.
So what would you tell a Ugandan student in a situation like that? Have you had those really difficult conversations with them? And because I can imagine that that's yeah, a really hard conversation to say that
Yeah.
just kind of throw away everything that your family has worked so hard to attain
Right.
for this child.
Yeah, so there have been a lot of those conversations that have been had. So I'll kind of go back into the origin. So since His Image Ministries has been started, I was putting together a presentation for His Image Ministries this weekend. So kind of have some fresh numbers on my brain. But since it started, there have been 40 babies. We've had 40 women in our program. So in 4 years, that's 40 lives that are
Yeah.
here because of the ministry, which is absolutely incredible. I was going through the list and saw that, and it's just amazing. I was so excited. So in that, yes, we've had a lot of women who we've had to have those conversations with. And I think one of the big things is one, like having Josephine there, that lady who didn't have an abortion and has her child, and kind of like giving this hope, like there is still life and there is still hope, and there's still so much that you can look forward to and so much that you can do. And then another thing is a lot of it for women is that family aspect, like having to confront their family and say, hey, I'm pregnant. So just being an emotional support and saying, hey, we're here with you. You're not going to be alone. Like, even if your family rejects you, we'll still be here for you, and you'll still have support and you'll still have love. So that's another huge piece. And then thirdly is just an understanding of abortion, like what it is. And it's literally killing your child. So having them do ultrasounds and listen to their heartbeat and kind of that bonding aspect as well. Just talking about their baby, and trying to help them see their child as a life. And yeah, it sometimes takes time. And also sometimes we've had women come to us for counseling. And, we kind of go over when they originally come in, like, this is your choice. You can do whatever you want, but we do want to let you know what that choice entails, and that abortion has long-lasting effects, and those effects are never going to go away. And we still have women that go and have abortions, and it's heartbreaking to feel like, you're so close, and you had this amazing opportunity and you still had an abortion. So that's always very sad, but it does happen. And at that point we say, this is very sad and we're heartbroken for you, and we're here for you in the future if you need help and need somebody to talk to. So kind of having those resources to still be available and not make them feel rejected. And I think that's another huge piece that I'm trying to learn is, like, I feel like a lot of our views in the States for the anti-abortion is, go outside an abortion clinic and scream and yell and hold signs. And I don't know how effective that is. I've actually never personally done it, so I'm sure there's a lot I'm missing. But I think we're missing such a great opportunity to have relationships with these women and say, no, we get it. Like, we understand this is awful. Like, you should not be in this place. This is not designed to be this way. This is hard. You feel like your life's going to fall apart. Like, we get it. But there's better solutions. And so to have that aspect kind of shared, and just openness to say, we understand and we're going to be here for you no matter what, because we know that you're struggling, I think is very helpful and needed, and often very missed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like the situation arise where you have a mother that is wanting to have the baby, but doesn't feel like she could raise the child,
Mm-hmm.
do y'all have any sort of adoption solutions for that, or any way does the baby end up with another family member, or do you know how that would work for them over
Yeah,
there?
so we have had quite a few women like that. And that's another thing that we share is, like, if you can't take care of your baby, like, don't kill it. We'll help you find a solution. And there always is a solution. So we kind of give them that in the beginning. And our hope is obviously that we can help them love their baby by the time it's born. But yeah, that sometimes does not happen. Adoption is very, very, very difficult in Uganda, and not really seen as an option for especially the
Mhm.
locals there. And I don't know why all that is, but it's just like a very foreign process. There
Mhm.
is like there are a lot of orphanages and baby homes and things like that, which are not ideal, but you know, better than nothing. But in our experience, we have been able to kind of reach into their community and get either an aunt or a mother or a sister or a cousin or somebody that will be willing to kind of help and take them in for a few years. So far, thankfully, we've been able to find solutions like that for everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've noticed that in majority world countries that relatives are generally a lot more open to
Hmm.
raising
Yeah,
children that are not their own. So that's really cool that you can make use of that
Mhm.
kind of natural tendency that they already have.
yeah. And then once, I think that's the other thing is like, once the baby's there, it's so hard for a family to say, no, we're going to reject you and put you in a home. Like, they say that during the pregnancy, and so far, by the time the baby's there, when you're sitting there holding this sweet, adorable little baby, it's very hard to say, no,
Mhm.
we're not going to take it. Um,
Hmm.
so that's worked in our favor a lot, and
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're hoping that continues.
like isn't he so cute?
I know exactly right. Yeah.
That's an official strategy of his image ministries.
Mm-hmm.
Point out the
It is
cuteness of the baby.
right.
Um, so you mentioned a little bit about some of the folks in America who protest abortion clinics. How do you feel about the pro life movement in America in general? Would you ever go to something like the March for Life, or are you uncomfortable with all of that and think that pregnancy resource centers are basically the only way to go?
No, I think that they can be used in a good way, and I'm sure there has been good fruit from them. And it's not something I'd be opposed to, but I think we also need other options. Um,
Mm.
and in those things like March for Life, and people standing outside of abortion clinics, I think they just need to understand that they need to convey their message in a way that will be heard instead of making the mother feel like they're unapproachable. Or I mean, like, holding up signs and screaming you're going to go to hell because you're murdering your child is not most times going to make the mother be like, oh, I'm going to go talk to you, like, you have a better solution.
Mhm.
And so I think that's kind of my main drawback. Like, maybe you're being a good witness for other people driving by, maybe, I don't know, but for moms, I think it would be very rare to see that as a better option to go find help there.
Yeah. One thing I've thought about is like, how would it be possible in the West to change the cultural conversation around abortion in order to make it a social justice issue? Because we see a lot of young people really passionate about racial justice or
Mhm.
justice for immigrants. Why is abortion not lumped in with those things in the same way?
Right.
And even looking into the future, we look back at slavery and we're horrified.
Mhm.
Is abortion going to be one of those issues that eventually we get to the point as a society that we look back and are horrified, or has the left just completely won this battle culturally and socially? Um, yeah, it's something I think about. I don't know if you have any thoughts about how to go about that, or if that even should be our goal. Because the
Yeah.
people picketing the abortion clinics aren't helping with that
Right.
necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have thoughts, but it's also something that I've thought about a lot too. And I mean, I pray that we do look back and see it as something like slavery or racism as being evil. And um but yeah, I don't know how to accomplish that. Besides, like, let's be compassionate to people hurting and realize that they're struggling, which
Mhm.
obviously I don't believe makes abortion okay in any way. But
Yeah.
to make it understood that it's not okay, we also have to love.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like you said, that support, whatever we can be to support a
Mhm.
mom to make that
Yeah,
choice and give her the help she needs and raising that child or
right.
training that child and all that says so much more than a sign.
Mhm.
You can make signs all day, but are you actually going to get your hands dirty and
Right.
really help people in tangible ways. I think
Yeah.
that's super
And
important.
it's very hard work because when you feel like you're giving everything, like I have a very dear friend who she works in the medical field, or she was working in the medical field when this happened. And she had somebody come in who, I don't remember what it was, but there was something wrong with the baby. And the mom was like, I want an abortion. Like, I don't want to deal with this. And they offered, like, she was calling her and like went out to coffee with her a few times and was like, I'll take your child. Like, please don't do this. We'll do whatever we can to support you if you want to keep the child. If not, like, I would love to take the child, and like I would do anything to do that. And still, at the end of the day, she had an abortion. And that's heartbreaking and
Hmm.
very difficult to deal with. And I think I thought a lot about it when that happened. Like, why would a mother have these amazing options and still say, you know what, no, like, I'd rather not deal with it. I don't want to have to suffer the consequences of that. And I think it's because people know that's wrong. Like, you don't want to have to deal with in 10 years knowing that you have a child that you just abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, like, I don't think we can entirely fix everything by being supportive, but we have to at least try.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, so as you look into your future, like what are some of your plans or dreams? I'm assuming you're in America now, but are you
I
planning
am.
to go back to Uganda soon?
Yes,
You
so I am leaving in like a week to go back.
Oh, cool.
I need to see when the actual date is. So I leave on the 4th of March. I was originally the 28th of this month, and that ticket got canceled. So just read my notes.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm heading
Yeah.
back next month um, to go back and volunteer for a few more months.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Another thing that I was doing when I was there last time is I'm trained as a doula, postpartum and birth doula. And Josephine, we've talked about her a few times tonight. She's amazing. She was also doing doula training because she's very passionate about working with His Image Ministries, and that's why I was going over, was because I have some of those skills that are useful there, and so she was doing an online course. So last time I was over there, I was kind of helping her through that, and you know, taking an American online course when you're in Uganda and a local Ugandan woman is very challenging. So I had the opportunity to help her out a little bit with that. And so I'm planning on continuing with that, trying to help her, one, get some business to support herself, hopefully with some of the Mzungus for them to hire her, and then also just kind of help her be confident in her experience and um, kind of be ready to fill that role, that side.
That's super awesome.
Yeah. By the way, do you know any Swahili?
Nope.
Yeah,
No,
just
none at
Mzungu.
all. I'm I'm very thankful that Uganda speaks English.
Yeah.
Their
That's
official language is English, and it's
mm-hmm.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's the thing with East Africa. I grew up in Kenya, and I don't know hardly any Swahili or any of the tribal dialect Luo, but
Hmm.
because you can get around with English, so it's kind of a double-edged
Right.
sword, though. 'Cause then you don't you never
I know.
become bilingual.
Yeah,
uh,
it's true.
but
Mm.
yeah, well, anything, Brenna, you wanna add as we close up here? Or anything you wanna finish off with, Chloe? Any thoughts?
Well, I just want to commend you for what you're doing, Chloe. I think that's super special that you're able to help these women and stand beside that brokenness and like get in there with them and even like share the way of Jesus through that.
Mhm.
That's actually something that I was even thinking about midwifery and using it overseas. So maybe one day I still will. I don't know, but that's like super powerful testimony, I think, and just encouraging these women to choose life. And I mean, even just each and every life that you save and how like precious that is
Mhm.
to the Lord, that you're, doing that, and that yeah, he just loves life, and that we can be a part of seeing that happen here on earth and encouraging women to choose it is, I think that's like such an awesome ministry and a way for you to be able to share Jesus. So I want to encourage you to keep on doing that. And it was a blessing to hear what you had to say this evening.
Yeah, thank you. I feel so fortunate to have the resources and the ability to travel back and forth and to be there. And I feel like I've learned a lot and grown so much, being able to help in those ways. So yeah, I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
Is there any way that anyone listening could get involved financially or in any other way, obviously through prayer, but is there like an email list or some way to donate?
Yeah, so Followers of the Way Kampala has both a Facebook page and then also a website, with all of their ministries that they do. And His Image Ministries has a spot, and that also kind of describes everything that we do in very clear, short, concise versions of what I just rambled on about. So
Okay,
yeah,
great.
there's everything there.
Great. Yeah, we'll make sure to link that in the show notes. But yeah, we'll be praying for you as you head to East Africa. I'm kind of jealous we haven't been able to go to India this winter because of
Oh,
COVID, but I'm
that's
ready to
a
get
wonderful
on a
place.
plane.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to warmth because I'm sitting here. You
Yeah,
can't see, but I have a blanket and a heater and coffee, and I'm still freezing. So looking
yeah,
forward to that.
yeah. Growing up in Kenya, I can't stand winter. I love the
I
hot
believe
weather
it.
year round. So
It's so
hope you
nice.
enjoy it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining, and thanks everyone for tuning in. And we will see you all next time.